Be careful what you wish for. It's an old adage, but a true one. Take the start of today's talk on burdens and yokes. Now, on Wednesday night, I was pondering how I would begin. The solution came to me next day, as I was preparing to host a Zoom meeting. The hard drive on my computer decided to pack up, so most of the day was then spent getting this elderly laptop up and running. At least I was gifted a burden. I am less sure about the easy yoke of dealing with Microsoft products. However, maybe I shouldn't complain too much, as there are many at the moment with heavier burdens, more painful burdens than mere computer woes. Even if we don't feel the weight of a specific load, most of us are emotionally tired at this testing time. Therefore, let us invest a little time in our lesson from Matthew. There is a great deal to say to us in this, our here and now. Let me read it to you. I'm going to read to you now from Matthew's Gospel, chapter 11, verses 28 to 30. Come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Now we tend to think of the yoke as a symbol of toil, a symbol of compulsion and servitude. Indeed, in ancient cultures, it was common to make your vanquished enemy pass below a yoke of spears and swords. History books use it too. They use it as a metaphor of oppression, such as the Norman yoke or the Roman yoke. Yet Jesus himself must have made many yokes for his neighbours, since in history they were less a chain than a tool. Where yokes allowed the easier carrying of weights, especially liquids. Put more directly, they were the earlier versions of shopping trolleys or sack barrels of today. Perhaps then we need to revisit our idea of a yoke to truly grasp what Christ was saying in this passage. Now, from time to time, I hear people say, God does not load us up with more than we can handle. This is usually said by those facing almost impossible burdens. So I hope their belief that their troubles have come from above is comforting. But it isn't to me. I am not sure of a concept of divine controller switching on troubles and losses and sufferings for some unseen good. Instead, I would suggest the world visits these on us without any need for intervention from a higher or greater power. Instead, this passage indicates that God gives us the tools to overcome what misadventure, human ill nature, and even malevolence casts in our direction. Now, at the time we receive this assistance, this heavenly assistance, it seems to be an added burden, a chafing and unwelcome yoke. But it is not. It is a yoke of being equipped to cope, to come through, and to move on. Let us now in this difficult hour pray for godly guidance. Let us seek opportunities to be rearmed for the struggle. Let us use all that we have been given, will be given, as the tools to find victory. Moreover, may the yoke of Christ be a symbol that we are not abandoned, but rather we are empowered by a spirit that knows the way out. When I did a bit of research in yokes, most of the information available was about wooden beams that would be used to harness two animals to a plough. Yokes, then, are equally as much about teamwork as they are of individual effort. Simply, yokes allow the working together to achieve what cannot be done alone. What better time to look for teams and be inspired? Those working together in our health service, in the care sector, supply organisation. All of them make us humble. We here in St. Luke's will remain ever grateful to our saints who take out monthly our newsletters with cakes. But there's an even greater team always on offer, and that is asking Christ to help us with the impossible and the overwhelming. Since it's always uplifting not to see Christ striding ahead, even if to pioneer a solution. Similarly, we can find the idea of him behind giving us an almighty push not that helpful at times. But we can always discover new depths of encouragement and strength in being yoked to him, no matter the weight on the plough, since then alone the work gets done the dead soil tilled in faith, and a new harvest promised for our common endeavour. Dr. William Guthrie tells of walking down the High Street in Edinburgh early one morning. He encountered a group of children on their way to school. One little lad was mounting the shoulders of another, and when the celebrated preacher asked the reason, he was told that the kid had burnt his foot the night before and couldn't walk. They were therefore carrying him to school. To those children then, their burden was no such thing. They were a willing yoke to help their friend. Perhaps then we should always read this lesson at a slant. By that I mean that the final line of Jesus talking of burden and yoke could mean his own. Put directly, when he is helping us with our seemingly overburden, he carries us in love. Therefore his burden to him is light and willingly shouldered. Similarly, when he feels encumbered to be with us, when we are less than enthusiastic partners, he takes the lion's share of the pool. The outcome is he does not feel the sacrifice of a yoke. All he does is that he asks for our gratitude. Today then, may we take up our personal burden, certain that we will be empowered for the task. May we know that we are not alone, but have Jesus on the beam working alongside us, making the work lighter. Moreover, let us acknowledge his cross-like giving, which he bestows not grudgingly, but with an infectious joy. All we should do is return that act by saying 3 short words: Ji Pal Ta. Amen.